Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. The bold and the beautiful spoilers. Brooke is left surprised while Steffy and Hope align for Liam. The bold and the beautiful May 7, 2025 spoilers. Fans can expect Brooke to be left surprised while Steffy and Hope align for Liam. The previous episode of The Bold and the Beautiful saw Liam and Steffy struggling with the reality of his condition. It hasn't been easy for either of them to accept the reality of this situation. Liam wants to fight back, but his health is deteriorating every day, and he wants to leave with no regrets. There's a lot of exciting new drama on the way with rising tensions, secrets coming to the fore, and dynamic changes. Here's what the audience can expect from the May 7, 2025 episode of The Bold and the Beautiful when they tune into CBS to watch the long-running and hit daytime drama show. The episode on Wednesday features Brooke being thrown when Deacon suggests what Hope does next. Over the last couple of days, Deacon has been actively trying to be a supportive father. He even went over to meet Carter and get violent with him, even though it was Hope who dumped him. Regardless, Deacon does not like Carter, and it's no secret. He thinks Hope wasn't treated right by Carter, and has made it clear he does not support his daughter getting back with him, no matter what anyone suggests. Carter is not giving up either. He is constantly contacting her, asking for a chance. Deacon recently told Hope that he thinks she should get back with Liam. Is this what he has suggested in front of Brooke, thus shocking her? Brooke is more than okay with her daughter getting back with Carter, and would be quite shocked by the suggestion, no doubt. How will Brooke react to it? Will she defend Carter? Or ask Deacon why he thinks Hope should get back with Liam? Will Hope listen to her father and try to make a play for Liam? But what none of them know is that Liam is on his deathbed due to his inoperable brain tumor. When will any of them find out about the same? Meanwhile, Steffy and Hope find themselves in solidarity over Liam. Now that he knows there's barely any chance of him making it alive with some big miracle, he doesn't want to have any regrets. Liam wants Steffy and Hope to get along, claiming that he was always the cause of their rift. When Steffy and Hope find themselves in solidarity over Liam, is it because of his wish? How will this work, considering Hope doesn't know Liam's life is in danger? Will Steffy spill the beans, or will she listen to Liam's wish to not reveal the news to anyone? Stay tuned for more details about it. The sun rose over Los Angeles, casting golden light across the Forrester estate, where family ties were as tangled as the designer silk scarves in the showroom. On this particular morning, however, it wasn't fashion making waves. It was an unexpected alliance, and a mother left reeling in its wake. Brooke Logan Forrester stood in her Bel Air kitchen, coffee in hand, replaying last night's conversation with Hope. There had been something off, something Hope wasn't saying. Brooke knew that look. Her daughter had grown in strength, no doubt, but when Hope was withholding something, her voice wavered in that familiar way. Brooke had seen it too many times to mistake it for anything else. Across town at the Cliff House, Steffy Forrester leaned against the edge of her kitchen counter, arms crossed. Her dark hair flowed like a waterfall over her shoulder, and a subtle smirk played on her lips as she listened to Hope. Yes, Hope. The same woman who had been her romantic rival for years. The same Hope who had once fought tooth and nail to keep Liam Spencer's love for herself. Yet here they were, not as adversaries, but as co-conspirators. "You're sure about this?" Steffy asked, brow arched. Hope nodded, eyes steely. "It's time. Liam needs clarity, and frankly, so do we." The previous weeks had been filled with emotional turbulence. Liam, torn as always between his two great loves, had drifted back and forth like a pendulum. One moment with Steffy, laughing with Kelly, the next with Hope, lost in a familiar embrace. It had exhausted everyone, but something had changed. Something inside both women had clicked, and not in the way anyone expected. "We both know what he's like," Hope continued. "And we both know he means well. But the way he keeps hovering between us, it's not fair." Steffi poured herself a glass of water, her tone thoughtful. "So we give him a choice, or we make it for him. We give him support, together, as co-parents, as friends. We tell him we're done being the prize in his tug-of-war." It wasn't just about romance anymore. It was about children, stability, growth, the idea that maybe, just maybe, the future didn't have to stay. Rich had just returned from a jog, towel slung over his shoulder, when he found his wife pacing by the fireplace. "Something wrong, Logan?" Brooke hesitated. "Hope's hiding something. I think it has to do with Liam." Rich raised an eyebrow. "When isn't it about Liam?" Brooke sighed. "No, this is different. She's resolute. It's like she's finally put her foot down." Ridge chuckled. "Good. About time someone did." But Brooke wasn't smiling. There was something unsettling about not knowing what her daughter was planning. Brooke had fought hard for Hope and Liam to be together, believing, perhaps stubbornly, that they were destined. That their love was a once-in-a-lifetime kind. But was that belief still true, or was it just a dream she hadn't let go of? The following day, Liam arrived at Forrester Creations for what he thought would be a business meeting. Instead, he found both Steffi and Hope waiting in the design office, arms folded, their expressions unreadable. "What's going on?" he asked, his voice hesitant. Steffi spoke first. "We need to talk, Liam. And you need to listen." Hope followed. "We're not here to fight. This isn't about competition or ultimatums. It's about clarity." Liam looked between them, visibly confused. Did something happen? Hope stepped closer. "Yes. We realized we're not doing this anymore. The emotional triangle. The back and forth. It ends here." Steffi added, "We care about you. Always will. But we care about ourselves too. About our daughters. They need stable parents. And we need peace." Liam's mouth opened, then closed. The usual Liam reaction, a flustered attempt at explanation, was caught in his throat. He wasn't ready for this. "But what does that mean?" he finally asked. Hope smiled gently. "It means we're choosing ourselves. And whatever you decide, we support it, but not at the cost of our own happiness." The moment hit him like a freight train. For the first time, the women in his life weren't begging him to choose. They had chosen themselves. Meanwhile, news of the meeting spread fast. It didn't take long before Brooke heard it, through a mix of overheard conversation and a not-so-subtle text from Katie. Brooke stormed into Forrester Creations later that afternoon, her heels echoing through the hallway. She found Hope in her office, quietly sketching. "You had a meeting with Steffi and Liam today." Hope nodded, unsurprised. "I figured you'd hear about it." "You told him off?" Brooke asked, shocked. "Together? Since when are you and Steffi aligned?" Hope met her mother's gaze, calm and unwavering. "Since we realized our worth isn't tied to Liam's confusion." Brooke was speechless. This wasn't the sweet, passive Hope she knew. This was a woman transformed. "But he loves you." Hope cut her off gently. "Maybe. But love isn't always enough, Mom. Not when it keeps breaking the same hearts." Brooke, for once, had no words. She saw in her daughter what she'd always hoped for: strength, independence, and clarity. But she hadn't expected it to come with such detachment from Liam. Later that night, Liam sat on his deck, staring at the ocean. The waves crashed steadily, mimicking the chaos in his mind. For years, he had seen himself as the heart of two women's stories. Now he wasn't sure he was even a chapter anymore. Hope and Steffi weren't enemies. They were allies, and he was no longer the axis around which they revolved. It was a new day in Los Angeles. A day of reckoning, of change, and of women finally taking the narrative into their own hands. And as the camera zoomed in on Brooke's stunned face, one thing was clear. The Bold and the Beautiful had just flipped the script.